And now we'll have Jeff Frisby come up to speak on behalf of the Area 4.
Hey, good morning. I tell you, I am excited to be here with you this weekend. This is the first time that I've had an opportunity to travel outside the state of Arkansas to attend a state conference. I have been involved with the Enlisted Association for about 15 years now. I got hired into an HR program in Arkansas, and the first day I showed up, the operations sergeant major that I worked for, he said, "Hey, you ever heard of the Enlisted Association?" I said, "No, Sergeant Major, I haven't." He said, "Well, that's too bad because you're now the district rep for the 39th Brigade in the state of Arkansas." And since that day, I have been pretty much extremely engaged with this process and what we do as an organization. And I'm very excited to be able to share that. I'm excited to be your Area 4 Director and serve Kansas and serve EANGUS in that capacity. What we do as an organization is a motivator for me. I really enjoy the drive that we have behind the legislative efforts that we do. And my look at that, the way I see it sometimes, I really think that when we talk about soldier care and airman care, this is a platform. This is one of the ways that we do that as leaders. And this is one of the ways that we're able to take that message and spread it out and say, hey, here's what we're doing for you. And whenever you talk about those things that are at question and at bay these days, with congressional cuts and budget restrictions and so forth, it's this association. It's associations like ours that make a difference sometimes in what we're able to take and offer to soldiers and airmen and what we're able to maintain for them. A couple years ago, I had an opportunity to sit and talk with Chief Jelinski Hall as she was talking about the direction of EANGUS going forward. And her comment was, she said, we have to change our focus in terms of gimme, 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 but help me to keep, help me to maintain, help me preserve what it is that we've had in the past that we need to be able to pass on. Because in the direction that we have taken in the last few years with congressional problems that we've seen in Washington, D.C., is that they've made promises to each of us. They've made promises to the E1s, E2s, and E3s as they got into the Guard, and now they're ready to take them away. Now they're ready to try to find ways to roll them back or to change the benefit program that they had whenever they got in. And this association is one of the associations that's going to make a difference in maintaining those as we move forward. So I'm excited about the work that we do, and I'm excited about the work that you're doing here in Kansas. In my last several years as the Area 4 Director, I've had quite a few conversations with Sergeant Major Lynn Holt about how Area 4 needs to be directed and the direction that we need to go, the direction that we need to take. He's provided a lot of mentorship for me over the last few years, and I'm very appreciative of that. A lot of great conversation between he and I think that we're on the right road. I think that we're making some differences and some changes to help Area 4 be the powerhouse that it can be in EANGUS. Max Miller, whenever I started coming to national conferences, he was there. And he was the guy who kind of took me under his wing a little bit. And he said, "Jeff, I think I see some potential in you one day." So as your Area 4 representative, I will tell you that I cover Arkansas and Kansas. I cover Arkansas by default because that's where I'm from, I guess. And then I cover the state of Kansas, and that's how we got divvied out whenever we sat down 2 years ago with Mariah Cruz as your Area 4 chairman. This last year, we saw quite a change in your Area 4 directors. You picked up Scott Meshy from Louisiana as the air representative, and he's covering the states of Oklahoma and Louisiana. And you picked up Larry Odom out of Mississippi, who's covering Mississippi, Texas, and Missouri. And the way we broke those down was basically how the associations were broke down. You have, in the state of Kansas and Arkansas, you have two enlisted associations that exist entirely separate from the Officers Association. Despite the fact that you're doing a joint conference this weekend, you're still a separate organization. You exist on your own. Whereas in Louisiana and in Oklahoma, they have joint associations. They're together, so that's why you have Scott Mesh that's covered down on that in that way. And then Mississippi, Texas, and Missouri, they're a little bit different. They're kind of together, joint associations, but they have some separate functions, so that's how we got it broken down. I also am the resolutions chairman for EANGUS. So I have the great honor of taking all the resolutions from all 54 states and territories and the chapters of EANGUS and combining them, put them together, and really setting the focus of our organization. I have the opportunity to take those resolutions, put some thought into them, really apply the legislative process to it to see where I think we can go and where we're headed. So I think you're doing some great work here as well in Kansas, and I'm really excited about some of the things I've heard today. Now, I'll tell you that the EANGUS Board of Directors has been incredibly busy the last few months. At the last national conference, we elected a guy out of Louisiana named John Harris to be the president of this organization. And he ran on the platform of, we've got to put the power back in the hands of the states. And I will tell you that he is definitely committed to doing that. And he has kept your board of directors incredibly busy. We've been having board meetings about every 2 weeks about something. There is not anything that he does as the president of this organization that he wants to make sure that we are not aware of. And hopefully in turn passing that information back down to you as a state. If it's a corporate sponsorship program that he's been staying on top of, he's brought in probably 5 or 6 new corporate sponsors for EANGUS in the last 3 or 4 months. The building fund, the building work that we're doing for the building there in D.C., the transition of our executive director, which if any of you have been keeping up with that, is quite a story, quite a few things going on there. And even this transition that we've had with the National Association transitioning for the second time in 3 years to a new website. Your board of directors have been incredibly busy. I mentioned that I'm the resolutions chairman, and I will tell you that the resolutions process is very, very exciting to me. I tell the state of Arkansas all the time that I'm probably that one exception to geekiness when it comes to the legislative process. I enjoy the legislative process. Be it good, be it bad, be it fighting, be it arguing, whatever it is, I enjoy that. So I really enjoy the resolutions process as well because I like how it sets the pace and the tone for where we go. This year, your resolutions committee got together in Phoenix, Arizona, and we passed 12 total resolutions, 2 of which are more, thanks Phoenix for having us, thanks Arizona for hosting the state. But there were 10 legislative things that we decided to do. Today, 5 of those have been passed into law. 5 of the resolutions that EANGUS, your national association, took upon themselves to say, hey, we want to make sure this happens, has been passed into law. Most of those got passed with the NDA 2015. Your organization is successful. We are doing things that are making a difference. We are doing things that are impactful. Those resolutions that we passed have made a difference in the National Guard. So we're taking that resolutions process and we're taking those successes that we've had and those victories that we've made in the legislative realm, and we're trying to make sure that all the states are aware of those, that you know about them, that you're tracking that, hey, these are the things that we've been involved with and how we can make a difference. We're trying to crosstalk amongst all the states. This year, as we move forward in the resolutions process, one of the things we want to do is we want to make sure that you know about resolutions that are submitted from other 54 states and territories long before you show up in Indianapolis at the National Conference. What we found over the last couple of years, at least what I found, is that we don't have states who are saying, hey, I want to co-sponsor that. I think that's a great idea. And the reason that we don't have that is because nobody knows what the resolutions are until they show up at the National Conference. So we've got to make a difference and we've got to make a change. And hopefully we're going to get there this year. Right now is the state conference season. So right now is whenever we're expecting all the state conferences, the state associations to put together resolutions and put them and submit them to the national conference. But I can tell you that my resolve as the resolutions chairman for EANGUS is that as soon as I get a resolution from a state, I assign it a number from an EANGUS resolution standpoint, and then I send that out to all the point of contacts in the 54 states and territories that I have. I want you to know about it. I want you as an executive board to be able to get together one day and say, hey, before the national conference, I like that, we want to co-sponsor that, let's put it on our agenda as well. when I talk about John Harris saying he wants to strengthen states, the resolutions process, I think, the way that we take that on is also we want to crosstalk among states about the victories you've had here in Kansas, or the victories that I've had in Arkansas. I want you to be able to see the state resolutions that I've passed. I want you to be able to see the state laws that I've been successful in getting adopted. If there is something that I have in the state of Arkansas that has been incredibly successful for us, I want you to know how I did it, why I did it, and how it could potentially impact Kansas. As a national organization, we can't strengthen you if we're not helping you in your resolve in the state. And that's got to be what we do in the resolutions process. You got to hear about the education benefits. You're working on the one for your state tuition assistance. Back in February, I sat and had a conversation with Sergeant Major Brooke Conley. And he said to me, he said, look, I want you to know that going forward in the resolutions process, you need to know that from my standpoint, when I go around to the states and I talk to these guardsmen, these young enlisted soldiers, and these airmen I talk to, education benefits is their number one concern. It is their number one worry about what's going to be out there in the next 2, 3, 4 years. In their first enlistment, their 6 years that they're there, they're worried about what's going to happen. A lot of these guys are worried because of what's happened with tuition assistance over the last few years and how it's changed. How now you have to wait 1 year after you return from AIT before you can get that. Well, there's a resolution by EANGUS to help fix that problem. They're worried about what happens with the tuition assistance now that you can only use it in conjunction with certain chapters of the GI Bill, or you can't use it for more than one. You can't use tuition assistance and GI Bill for the same class. Those are things that EANGUS is working on. Those are things that we are trying to fix right now, and we're going to have resolutions this year to help focus us on those as well. Education benefits are his number one priority, the things that he's looking for. But it's a shame on us as an association if we are not busy right now. Absolutely a black eye for this organization. There is no way you can look at the atmosphere in D.C. right now and say that we should not be busy, we should not be involved, and we should not be doing something. In fact, for the last several years, we've been fighting for maintaining retirement benefits that you have now, that you're currently getting. Well, that focus has got to change a little bit too, because the retirement package that we have now is also under scrutiny. If you're currently serving, those retirement benefits are probably going to change on you. This is a time for this organization to be incredibly loud and incredibly strong. And if we are not doing that, then we are failing you as a state. We have to be responsible, we have to be responsive, and we have to be leading the way for guardsmen all across this nation. I will tell you though, when you think about resolutions, what I want you to do is I don't want you to think about resolutions in terms of can we get this passed or can we not. Our success on in the resolutions process is not whether or not we get a law changed. That's kind of like the icing on the cake. Our resolutions process, what it should do is bring light to issues that we know need to be changed. We need to get in the conversation. We need to be involved with fixing problems. Maybe the resolution that we came up with isn't the right answer. But if nothing else, if we get people starting to talk about it and realizing that there's a problem, and then joint conversations start taking place from one congressional office to the other, from the Department of Defense to the National Guard Bureau, if we can start those conversations through our resolutions process, then we get problems fixed. And that's what our resolutions process needs to be doing. I hear you talk about membership just a little bit this morning, and that's great. Chief Muncie used to have this quote that he would go around saying all the time. He said, tell our story. You got to tell your story. Yesterday I sat with your executive council and I heard the comments about how, Chief, when you mentioned that you shouldn't be necessarily selling the association. You got to be educated about the association. An education process about what we do is probably a little bit more than saying, I need your $15, your $20, your $30 because of this. Don't necessarily go out there and sell this organization. Educate about this organization. Tell them what we do and why. Explain to them how we can be powerful, how we can be successful, and how we can make a difference. When you do that, I believe that you help your membership. I believe that's how you help sell this organization. Not necessarily tell them you need your money. I'll give you an example. This year, Arkansas has started a new program where what we do is we have a booth for the Enlisted Association of the Arkansas National Guard at the medical headquarters for the state of Arkansas. Every soldier, and I don't get a chance to talk to the airmen quite the same way, but every soldier that has to do their physical health assessment for that year, their annual PHA, they have to go by the Enlisted Association booth. Now, I'm not selling membership to that booth. That's not what I'm doing. I'm there to make sure they have heard of the Enlisted Association of the Arkansas National Guard. I'm there to make sure they know who we are and what we do. And I'll tell you what, I typically get about 2 or 3 answers. First answer I get is, I've never heard of it. Have no idea. The second answer I get is a lie. Yeah, I know that. I know who you are. I paid my membership. I'm good to go. And the third answer I get is, I think I've heard of you. Aren't you the ones that got those guard tags for us on the back of our cars? And those are all really legitimate answers that these soldiers are bringing to me. They've never heard of us. Sometimes, in some cases, especially the younger ones who've only been in for 1 or 2 years. And yes, our association did go into the state assembly and get them some license plates to put on the back of their car. But that was a program that we did 30 years ago. 30 years ago, we went to Congress and said, hey, we don't want to charge them for their tags and put them on the back of their car. And now everybody drives around with a National Guard license plate. Soldiers and airmen today don't care about that. Not because it doesn't help them, not because it doesn't benefit them, because it's not relevant to them today. Because that program is not going away. It's not going to change. Arkansas doesn't count that money in their revenue process every year when they think about how much revenue they're losing for license plates. They're not going to change that law. What they need to know about is how we've been working for a tax exemption for them and how last year the state of Arkansas was successful in making that happen. 100% of military pay in the state of Arkansas is tax exempt right now. And it's because of this organization. It's because of what we've done. And that's what we're trying to educate those soldiers and airmen in Arkansas. And through that process, and I encourage you to do the same thing. Educate them on what you're doing. Educate them on what you can do. And I think you'll help yourself with membership. The other challenge that I have, that I've heard across all 7 states in Area 4, and when you have this all across the nation is that a lot of people think about this organization, they think it's kind of a retiree club, or it's a club that just helps you get promoted, or it's just a way for you to suck up and be involved in something that doesn't really do anything. I hear that quite a bit from some of these guys who come through there. And I say that, I hear this from the E5s, the E6s, and the E7s that come through. They think about it as just kind of being a club, where you only get promoted and you only get, use this to suck up on your NCOER or on a promotion board or something like that. And my answer to that is whenever we talk about membership is this organization will always be and will only be what you decide to make it. If you want it to be an old man's club or a gentleman's club, or you want it to be just a way to get promoted, then that's what it's going to be. But if you want it to be effective, and you want it to be powerful, and you want it to make a difference in soldiers and airmen, then you have to be involved. Those E3s, E4s, and E5s that are sitting down at the units right now, those are the ones that are like, dang, I wish this was fixed. I wish we could do something about this. I wish this was different. I wish we could make this change. If you want to make that change, then be involved. Stifle your resolutions process. Stifle your legislative process. Be involved, make a difference, and help us make this organization as powerful as it should be and as it can be. Also with membership, don't exclude your auxiliary. Your auxiliary is your combat multiplier. That's what I've been using the last couple of years. Did I just steal it from you, Monica?
Yes, you did.
Okay. Well, you get to address somebody else, right? So, hey, they are the ones that make a difference in terms of how effective you can be sometimes. I remember about 3 or 4 years ago, Ms. Judith, I remember when we looked at reports of who sent legislative letters to congressionals, and it was from our auxiliary. That's the ones who were out there really pushing our legislative efforts. That's the ones who were making the difference in how many contacts we had in Washington, D.C. It was our auxiliary. Do not forget about them. And I will tell you that they have been incredibly involved over the last several years at making a difference for us. And when you think about our resolutions process, you think about our legislative process, you think about the calls and the answers that we have to our congressionals, There is probably nobody better, at least in my household, I'll tell you, there is nobody better who understands what's happening with my pay and what's happening with my benefits than my household. They're the ones who really know how it's impacting the family. They're the ones that really know the difference in what happens whenever I lose this or I lose that, or whenever I take a cut in pay, or I get an increase in pay. They're the ones who tell quite a different story that adds the uniqueness to the Guard. They're the ones that tell the story of the family. This year, we've been fighting in Arkansas for a tax exemption for retirees, because we don't have that right now. We do have it for current serving members, but we don't have it for retirees. And we had an opportunity to testify before Congress a couple of different times. Am I still in it again? No? I had 3 members of my association testify before a state Senate committee who came to talk about how the tax exemption would increase the Guard benefit. It would increase the retention rates that we have, because now it gives them a little bit of incentive to stick around for 20 years. But I tell you, I think that one of the most influential conversations that we had with that Senate committee is not from any of my members. Not from anyone who said, yeah, this is my paycheck that you're talking about. But from the family member who says, let me tell you, if we decide to leave the state of Arkansas because Texas has a tax exemption and Arkansas doesn't, it's my income that goes with you. It's also the education benefits that he's passed on to my son and my daughter that go with him. It's the TRICARE that he has that goes with him. It's the benefit of the family that changes the complexity of just that service member. And that's what your auxiliary does for you. Do not forget about and do not overlook your auxiliary. Okay, I'm winding down, James. I probably hit 15 minutes by now. Look, as your Area 4 Director and as your Area 4 Representative, I'm asking you, from the EANGUS standpoint, let us know how we can help. Let us know where we can make a difference. John Harris wants to strengthen the states. I want to strengthen the state. I want to see you grow, and I want to see you be a powerful organization. You let me know how I can do that. If that's through membership, if it's through legislative process, even if it's through corporate sponsorship. We want to be involved. We want to make a difference. I'm extremely excited to be here this weekend and see a different perspective on a state conference, and so I can take this back to Arkansas. But I'm really glad to be here this weekend to represent you as your Area 4 Director as well. I think there's some great things to come from our organization, and I really like the direction that we're taking. I'm excited to hear about some of the things you got going on. Greg, I want to tell you that your 3 bylaws changes, Arkansas has all 3 of those this year as well. Your corporate sponsorship stuff, the perspective that you've done, that you're sending out, Arkansas is engaged with that this year as well. We're going to make a difference in that. And the state and the federal resolutions, the fact that you're involved on both levels, I'm excited to hear that. I look forward to great things from Kansas. I look forward to great things from our organization. Thank you very much.